Hi guys, as requested, I'm going to show you the build that I've been running Warzones with. It's basically the Slash Seder using the two-handed sword, but with more defense-orientated skills, because unlike Taros, we are no longer just bursting enemies down and getting out. We are actually having to fight everything and survive through a lot of damage. Take a look at the character. I'm basically running just the base hit points and suppression. Focus I don't care about because I only really use it to leap. Deflect, I want as much deflect as I can get while using the two-handed sword. I don't use a shield or a one-handed. I've got damage reduction at 48%. I've got my resists as high as I can get them from my gear without speccing into the defense tree, because basically the Warzone, the damage reduction seems to just slow down as soon as you get to 90%, and the biggest thing that's bothering me is the damage taken is like 300-500% extra, so I want to be able to survive as much as possible because enemy HP does not get bigger. I've only got 23% crit, but I'm using a greatsword, which the two main skills I'm using are Blade Fury as a filler, and then I'm spamming Crippling Strike as much as possible, and they both have the 10% crit tags on them. So I'm actually sitting around 33% crit, and then I also have my digital weapons, which then brings me near enough the crit cap. So that's why I only have that much crit. I mean, I would have more crit if I could, but I'm not getting lucky on the rerolls. My crit strength is 19, just purely based on that I'm on a high crit build. Then I've got my bonus melee and physical damage. Range damage is just coming from perks, which are both damage, so I can't help that. I've got no HP regen per second because I'm using Augmented Body 2, so the only thing that heals me is going to be when I use my Inoculator, or when I have heal on hit or heal on kill and blow, which is my greatsword enchant basically. I'm not too bothered about suppression regeneration per second at all because I'm using Augmented Body, so yeah, suppression is always going to be green. I've got 27% movement speed. That's basically to increase my clear time, because when I'm purging the rooms, the enemies don't show up on the maps like they do on normal purge missions, so sometimes I'm having to loop back and backtrack, so more movement speed equals extra DPS because I'm getting to the next mob faster because they're spread out. Focus regeneration, I don't care about. HP regain per hit, I've only got 15, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're hitting that much per second, and I'm also using an animation cancel trick, which is basically as soon as I do a left mouse click strike, I'll then do one of my skill strikes, the 1 or 2 key press, and it will reset the animation and hit faster. And with the Whirling Strike, I believe that counts as every hit you do, so it's a decent amount of hits. If there's 10 enemies, that's 150 HP gained per Whirling Strike. My attributes, I've gone for the 20, just for the basic 5% crit chance, the movement speed, the deflect. I would love to get the 5th milestone, the 15% damage to elites and boss creatures, but I just can't reach it. It's just not possible right now. So since I'm not regaining HP per second, I took 1 point out of the toughness tree and stuck it in virtue just for that extra warp resist, because hey, I'm not getting nothing from that milestone. I may as well put it there. I could have put it in this one to get 1% extra damage, but don't really need it right now. Let's look at my gear. We're using the greatsword. You really need to roll on the damage for Crippling Strike here. You also want this. Each successful deflected attack bestows plus 50% damage for your next attack. Stacks so fast when you're getting hit by all these ranged mobs, I'm not kidding. Then just basic damage. I did try the cooldown for Crippling Strike, and I didn't feel it was necessary because with the build is resetting cooldowns every time I deflect an attack, every time I crit, so the attacks are basically spammable. Same with the cooldown for Spin and Blow. I mean, I could go for the 30% damage on Spin and Blow. I haven't tested it fully yet because I've not managed to get it on a reroll, but I'm hoping I could get that damage and it might one-shot the enemies. But it's because currently right now the spin and blow isn't one-shot normal enemies. It's taking them to about 10% HP. But yeah, that's basically that weapon. I'm a bit upset about the 50 suppression, but what can you do? I'm not going to destroy a weapon over the little enchants here. So, like again there, I've got suppression regain and HP second. Ideal world wouldn't have that, but I haven't got best in slot gear yet. We're trying. Inoculator, this is mandatory. You must have medium and elite kills, have a 15% to drop a supply pack. It's really hard to get, it's rare. Rolling on it could cost you millions, so you basically just want to get that and you use whatever combo of these you can get. I had this, so I'm basically using the 5% HP per second. I don't want to use Blood Bomb or any kind of burst heal because I'm using Crisis Management, so I want to be below 50% HP. I've just got basically increases the capacity and it removes the 30% of actual HP upon injection. Basically keeps me below 50% as much as possible while also increasing my capacity. Boost damage for 200%. I could use that. I'm thinking about taking out this damage reduction and doubling up on the damage boost to maybe nuke mobs faster. I don't know. Maybe when I start and get higher level, I'll take out the damage boost and apply another damage reduction. I'm not sure if the stack, I've not tested it yet. So that's that. The armor, mandatory critical hit, has a 20% chance to create a Rosarius field. Basically what you need. On your gear, you're going to want deflect, physical resist, damage reduction. Just basically, you're gearing for pure damage reduction and damage resists. Not too fussed about health. HP is good to have because remember you're still going to be sitting at 50% of that HP, so HP that you do get, you're going to be halving it, so really the 110 HP is only going to be like 60, well 55 if you want to be precise. Again, I've got suppression regen, and suppression doesn't help me at all, but I can't complain. I'm not getting best in slot gear right now. I'm just going with what I've got. Then you just want extra deflect chance. And then deflect, I've got HP per second, I'm trying to reroll that again, but story of my life. Then you've got deflect chance, the 20% chance to resist knockdown and knockback is basically when the Hellbrutes charge me or those demons do the slam attack so it doesn't knock me down and slow down my progress. And then just basic crit chance, melee damage, and anything with single target tag and vulnerability basically. Yeah, that's where I'm getting my damage. As for skills, I've maxed out the close combat tree apart from Fleshbane because we don't have any Fleshbane attacks. The critical chance for the combo bonus, that just gives me 5% crit to my main left mouse click. I don't feel I need the extra crit. I'm critting pretty regular to keep the Rosarius shield up and to keep my life sustained, so I didn't want to take that. I took Overwhelm, which is the 5% damage bonus to melee skills up to 50% as long as there is less than 2 seconds between each melee attack. That is stacked permanently. It just, because you're hitting so fast. Even though this ability has a 2.3 second cooldown, it's off cooldown as soon as I use it basically because of this talent here. All successful deflects reduce skill cooldowns by 5%. I also have dealing critical hits reduce skill downs by 10%. So the cooldowns just drop so fast. We also have dropping below 25%, resets the cooldown of movement skills so I can leap if I need to get out of trouble. Then just basic cooldown reductions. Then we've got debuffs, we've got targets suffer 3% damage penalty for every point of stacked vulnerability. I can stack about 5 stacks pretty fast, and the crits from Whirling Strike also stack vulnerability on enemies around me, so that's given me like damage reduction, free damage reduction basically, that's not capped from my basic damage reduction because it's a damage penalty for the enemy targets. Defense, we've gone for 25% of damage reduction added to deflect. This was recently changed. It's really strong if you have a decent amount of damage reduction. If you don't have a lot of damage reduction, it gives you basically not much deflect at all. Same goes for this. It's not a flat plus 20%. It's 20% of your base damage reduction. So if you have 10% damage reduction, this will not take you to 30% damage reduction, it will take you to 12%. Then just the heat resist and water resist. The heat resist is nice because deflect cannot deflect heat or warp. So you need heat resist because the Space Marines with the flamers or the flame turrets will wreck your life. Criticals, we've not really gone far in here. We've gone for critical hit strength, then 5% critical hit chance, but bit of damage reduction. But the main thing is to get the crit heals the character for 1%. We've then got suppression, basically all the suppression apart from this because we do not regenerate HP per second. The movement speed, +3 movement speed, not needed right now because I'm running the unfettered maneuvering, 20% movement speed while your suppression is green. Because of this, we're always green. Then the basic crisis management, above 50% you suffer 20% more damage, below 50% you suffer 40% less damage. So that keeps me alive, basically. Really strong perk. It's probably going to get nerfed soon. Physical attacks. We've got critical strength for physical damage. All our attacks are physical damage. Self-explanatory. Basic physical damage. And then critical hits dealt with physical damage. So a stacking physical vulnerability to the target. This also stacks with this exposed weakness. So every time I crit, I'm putting 2 stacks of vulnerability. And also, if I'm using crippling strike and it crits, that's instantly 3 stacks of vulnerability on the target. So that's pretty much the build. As for gameplay, you basically want to use your jetpack from the armor, the leap right here, assault jump, and jump into basically the target that you're going for, the gate, the elite, the commander, the villain, or whatever, the boss, whatever the target is, your main kill target. Jetpack in, drop whirling strike to give you most chance of getting a crit off, crippling strike. Keep clicking with your left mouse click, spam crippling strike. If there's a lot of enemies around you, use the whirling strike and basically kill them. That's basically you using your crits to heal, to stay alive, and your deflex to avoid as much damage as possible. But that's basically the build. That's the way I've got it set at the minute. I was thinking about changing a few perks. There's a one where I can get more damage, Cull of the Week plus 50% damage, but I feel movement speed is a lot more worthwhile right now. I could have went for more critical hit chance, but I feel with digital weapons combined with the perk on the inoculator where elites have a 50% drop, I can double up on the digital weapons. Basically, it's a 30% chance for critical hit, but if you're getting enough supply drops, I will always use 2 on one map, so it gives me 60% crit. So basically with my base 33%, I'm on above 90% crit, so that's how everything procs and I survive so easily. But yeah, I mean, I'm not doing amazingly high levels. I'm not as far as what some of the other guys are, but I'm just enjoying it and getting through it. I think I'm on about 112, 113 battle level now. Just check. Maybe it's a bit lower. Really lost count. Yeah, 110 completed, so I'm on like 111. And I'm not struggling at all. I haven't died. I'm not struggling with damage or survivability, so I'm going to keep going with this build and see what I can make of it. Took me a lot of adjustments to get to this. I was struggling on 35s with the basic Slash Zeta build because I wasn't surviving. My suppression was getting wrecked, so I had to make a build around augmented body and crisis management, and that seems to be the way to go, guys. So let me know if you're going to try the build out, if you're going to change it up. It works in co-op and solo, although I really want to try and make some sort of heavy bolter or flamer build for co-op, just for a bit more AoE, standing in the back while someone else is playing melee, because it ain't fun when everyone's playing melee, knocking everybody's targets out the way. But yeah, let me know if you like the build, if you have any suggestions towards it. There are a couple of flex skills you can change out, but yeah, let me know how you're getting on and what build you're using. Method out.